everybody to this week's episode of In the Library of Graphic Literature, and we have some new books. Jazz hands. And welcome always right.
Hey, jazz hands, with Luna. Yay! So, and Shakespeare. And, I guess we don't have, we do have our Batman from last week. We got Huckleberry Hound is new. And Bat Phone. And the old Batmobile. Move that over because I kind of like it.
What about the figures?
The figures. Oh, yes. Let's... Oh, hang on a sec. These are from... the set. The set itself I'd have... This is the Dark Knight Returns set that with Batman.
Batman in his older years.
And Robin. The younger Robin, Carrie Kelly, the first girl Robin, and Superman, still looking good for after all those years because he's supposed to be, more or less immortal, and he gets punched in the head by.
I'm trying. It's not working.
Okay, there you go. And last but not least, Joker, who actually, which is funny enough because Batman actually does away with the Joker. In this story line.
They feel like they're actually good quality though.
Yeah, they are actually. I think these were the I think they were DC collectible. And the box got a little bit wet, and it was just like, well, screw that. I'm not going to sell it. It was just I liked it too much. It was just like, yeah, no, I'll keep that. So we'll throw them here for now. Back on the actual set that they go on is a bit too big to fit into the hip there.
You're not going to show?
Unfortunately. Oh, yeah. And it's great because it has the...
Glows in the dark.
Yeah. This is the crime alley scene, as they call it.
Yes.
But unfortunately, it's too big to fit on any of the shelves, right? Maybe if I moved some of this stuff out of the way, I could fit it there, but I don't want to. So, we have a stack of books here today.
Yes, a new revised version of Origins of Marvel Comics by Stan Lee.
Now, I took off the... where did I lay it? I did take off the dust jacket for this one.
What makes this one so special?
Well, it was written... where did I put the dust jacket? Oh, well, okay. The dust jacket is somewhere here. It's... It was done in 1974, I think it was, or something like that. And it's basically Stan talking about the origin of like Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, Thor, Doctor Strange, and the Hulk. And he presented, and this is the ones he presented like an older story and then a more recent story.
I think it's Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
The Thing.
Yeah, and this was actually a good... And when I bought it, I was sort of fairly new, so it was kind of good because, it introduced me to a lot of cool stories. Especially there was another one after this called Son of Origins, which had like Daredevil, Iron Man, and a bunch of other people. But now a lot of people, they didn't like this because, where they think Stan took too much credit for a lot of stuff. But it's funny because there's about 49 pages added to it with essays and all that, which I have yet to read, but apparently I've been led to believe that it more or less sets the record straight. But I have to say, when I read this as a kid...
There's lots of big panels there.
Oh yeah, that's the artwork from the original...
Show it
you. Oh.
Show the people.
Show the people. And then there's some... Oh, watch out. Cat on the loose here.
Come here.
And so there was some nice artwork and just essays on the book itself, and because like I say, a lot of people in the end they were like, oh, this really wasn't the way it went down and all that, and to some extent they're true. But he also did point out, which I didn't know is when I was a kid, what they call the Marvel method, which is where the editor, like Stanley, would say, give me a story about Spider-Man doing something. And really, the artist would sort of write and draw the story, and then he'd come in and throw the dialogue in on top. Sometimes even rewriting the dialogue that like Kirby would write for it and all that. And so it would start out with the origin story, the first one, like this one with the Fantastic Four #1, the classic. And then he'd do one later on. This is from Fantastic Four 55, sort of a later one.
Does anyone remember the Silver Surfer game that was out, like, I think it was like early 90s or like late 80s or something?
Oh, no.
And like, you got hit once and you died.
Oh, go away.
The game was impossible to play.
that terrible, eh?
Yeah, I never tried it on an emulator. I haven't played the actual thing because it goes for like probably hundreds of dollars.
Oh, and then the Hulk. And this, of course, he was gray when he first started out, but in this one, I do believe in the original book they did recolor him green, but in the original comic he started out as gray, and then they changed it to green, I think, with the very next issue. And then the newer story for this was Hulk 118, which was actually one of my favorite of the Hulk stories, and by Herb Trimpe. Actually, we got some really good feedback from his wife and his kids on there, talking about Herb in last week's show. So they really liked us talking about it. And this is actually one of my favorite of his. It's actually one of his best drawn issues too, funny enough. And when I was reading through the book that we did last week, and I came across it, was just like, geez, this seems really familiar. And I was reading it, and it was like, this got to be the one that they did for that. And I looked it up, and sure enough, it was. Then, of course, there's Spider-Man, and now there's all kinds of controversy about, who really created Spider-Man, and but Ditko, he designed the outfit for Spider-Man, and there's a lot of it, that he did do. And then later on, let's see what else, Spider-Man, Thor, and of course they start out with the first issue of Thor, which I actually had. I had actually just about most of the comics that are in this one, except for the origins. Except this was the only origin one I had. First, this is Lyla, by the way. What do you think, Lyla? Lyla loves Thor, I think, right? You like Thor?
I think she just likes that new book smell.
Smell it? And then there was this, and there's the later Thor. And soon shall come the enchanters. And I actually really liked this one at the time, and it got me more and more into Marvel Comics, so I'll credit it with that, even though there was a lot of inaccuracies and all that. But I wanted to buy it anyway, because I had it as a kid, and it was pretty influential. A lot of people did buy it, and it was one of the first big books on comics and all that, because when I was a kid there wasn't a lot on comics. And then it ends off with the origin of Doctor Strange. Actually the first appearance of Doctor Strange, and then the origin story. And now Ditko with this, it's well known that Ditko, even though it says story Stan Lee, Steve Ditko did come to him with the character and everything, and Stan just threw in the dialogue after. Because even look at it, it's very Ditko-esque. And I like Ditko because like every panel, it's just like everyone in all the panels looks like they're losing their mind slightly, right? They're all there's a lot of tension and stuff like that in every panel that he did, right?
Some good girl.
She is a good girl, isn't she? Have a look at that, people. Look at that. People go mad in a Ditko comic. But yeah, there was this sort of background of tension in every one of his drawings. It was like everyone had a hangover. Oh, look, I like that picture of Doctor Strange there when he's a bomb here. Look at that. Oh, where is it there? There. That's... Love it. So, like I say, it has a lot of warts, and, a lot of people, except for Lyla, she loves it. There are some people who like I say, really poo-poo the idea, but it was still an important book in the history of comics. So, and I lost my copy a long time ago, so I just had to pick it up for that alone. Now, a new one this week is
Batman, Cult Deluxe.
This is one by Jim Starlin, who did, creator of Thanos and a lot of other great stuff for Marvel and that. And Berni Wrightson, the co-creator of Swamp Thing.
So what's the cult about?
This is one. Been a long time since I read this one. I haven't had a chance to read it, but it says people are disappearing all over Gotham. The homeless and downtrodden have fled the underground, enthralled by the teachings of Deacon John Blackfire. Now they say that part of this was used in the Batman, the Chris Nolan Batman series. But I mean, it was just. I know at the time I liked it. It was. Wrightson was a great artist and all that, and this was either I think his third time doing the Batman. He did Batman story back in the Swamp Thing days, and he did some Batman for a comic the same year came out. This one, 88, I think it was, The Weird, which he has Batman in. So
it's very colorful.
Oh, yeah, and there's the Deacon. So, it has this cultish thing too and all that. Oh, no, even a bit of Ronald Reagan thrown into it. Talking about cults, well, not Reagan, but, Trump-esque cult, right? So it's worth picking up. It is really nicely drawn, and it came out in this really cool format. So anyone who hasn't seen it, I think it is actually worth picking up. Here's I'll show. We'll have a quick look at some of the art here. And there's the bad guy. I mean, he looks bad. And as they say in The Simpsons, anyone named Deacon or Preacher or whatever, in post-apocalyptic stories are always evil, right? But this one, like I say, Berni Wrightson, big fan of Berni, so I can remember at the time there was sort of mixed reviews of it, but I don't know, I still liked it, and it was Berni, so just for the art alone, I picked it up, right? Now I hope they do The Weird, which was this other story that they did earlier. Now I got two books by the same guy, Matt Kindt. And this one is, If You Find This, I'm Already Dead. And this is a cool story. It's they find this, wormhole into another world. And this woman goes into the other world with these astronauts or whatever they call them. And they all end up getting killed. And she's the only one left surviving. But she finds a survivor from some of the other missions. And she has to fight her way through all kinds of weird goings on. The art is fabulous. It's by, Dan McDade. Matt Kindt, who's one of my favorite writer artists, also did the writing and the art, not the arting, did the writing. But it's, the story itself, it's something very creepy and unnerving about it, right? And she's constantly being, it's like she's constantly in danger throughout the whole book. And it's funny because she ends up getting back to Earth, and a lot of people won't believe her and all that, which is funny because it does reflect a little bit of how messed up the U.S. is now with people like Trump and what's his name, all those other crazy people, right? Controlling the weather. Woo! As a matter of fact, hang on a sec, let me control the weather for a second. I predict sunny skies for tomorrow.
Who do you think you are, Storm?
No. I think I'm Marjorie Taylor Greene. Oh, but she got bigger shoulders than me. And then there's this one, Subgenre, which I haven't read. But it says, a man is living two lives. He's a private detective in a dystopian cyberpunk future trying to solve a triple murder. But when he falls asleep, he wakes up as a wandering adventurer in a barbaric fantasy world where magic exists. Once again, written by Matt Kindt. Matt is one of my favorite. He did this story, and we did a couple of, there was one book, Mind Management, and it's sort of like an espionage spy thriller, and I love it. And you know what? Why Netflix hasn't picked Mind Management out to do a show of is beyond me. It's a great show. So anyway,
Great book, great comic.
Oh yeah, great comic. I'm serious. If there's any if there's any of his stuff that should be a TV series, it's Mind Management, right? But this one, Subgenre, looks pretty good. It's his Flux House label, his own little label. Now like I say, he does draw sometimes, but lately he's had a lot of people doing the drawing for him, which is cool because I'd rather get a lot more of his content because his stories are great. His art is it's different. It's when I first started reading his stuff, I wasn't a big fan of his art, but the more and more, especially Mind Management, when I started reading it, was just like, oh, I love this guy. So I fell in love with his art style because it is so bizarre. But with this one, he's gotten a couple of artists to work with him on it. I'll do a quick flick through, just so you folks can see. And like I say, to me, anything by Matt Kindt, I buy automatically. Now I do believe the other one got better reviews than this one, but still, anything by Matt, I'll just buy anyway. But it looks really cool. Oh, look, I like the color palette there too, right? The coloring and the drawing is really good. The drawing in this one is done by Wilfredo Torres and colored, I assume, by Bill Crabtree. So Subgenre, another good one. And we're going to end off with a couple of comics, which is highly unusual. What do you think of these, hey Lyla? Oh,
Scared of it.
Oh, she was scared. And she should be, because this is, once again, the ones that we've been reviewing all throughout. The EC from Oni Press, Epitaphs from the Abyss, and Cruel Universe. I think Cruel Universe is like the sci-fi type of stories, and the Epitaphs from the Abyss are the horror stories. So with this one, in this horror story one, you got Jay Stevens, Leo Max, the artist, Karina Bachko and Jonathan Case, Chris Condon and Charlie Adler, which is pretty good. And on this one, stories from Jay Hultum and Kano, Zach Thomas, Dan McDade, Ben Winters, Carson Thorne, and Cullen Bunn, one of my favorite writers, and David Rubin, who's one of my favorite artists. So both these have good artists and good writers working on them. So I haven't had a chance to read these yet, but I just looked through them and I love the art. A lot of times too, to me, I can tell if a story is good just by looking at the art and looking at the panels and the storytelling. So I can tell a good comic a mile away, right? Just like I can tell, I can remember talking online about AI and all that, and I was saying, oh yeah, I can smell AI a mile away. It smells like manure and failure and laziness all wrapped together.
It smells like blasphemy.
Blasphemy. Well, it's artist's face, right? It's copying, right? It's lazy. It's I call it art doping, right? Like, they have doping in sports and all that, where people are taking performance enhancing drugs. And that's what AI is. It's performance enhancing software. Well, it's plagiarism software, as a lot of people like to call it. And it's garbage. But fortunately, there's still some good artists out there who are actually using pens and pencils. It's funny because I see some people saying, oh, it's gatekeeping, you can't do blah, blah, blah. It's just like gatekeeping. All you need is a pencil and a piece of paper and some talent. And it's just like gatekeeping, you've got to have a computer and you've got to have the software and all this to steal the artwork, the styles off other people. It's artistic vampirism. They're sucking someone's personal style into their own artwork, and it's like they're stealing. It's soul stealing, right? It's artistic vampirism. I kind of like that, right? And I guess that's it. Now I do got a couple more books for next week already. I haven't picked them up yet, but they will. I got a lot of small books coming out because a lot of the bigger books I already got. So it's just like I'm concentrating on looking at smaller, cheaper books, right? Like $30, $40 books, that type of thing, right? So, one that I'm hopefully going to get is Web of Horror, which had early Berni's stuff and some of my other favorite artists in it. And that's about it for this week.
Go drink some water, you dehydrate comic book lover.
Yeah. And don't forget to vote. And I won't tell you who to vote for, but I'll tell you who not to vote for. That Trump guy. Because he's lying all the time, right? I mean, it's, you know, the weather machine and stuff. I mean, that's just crazy, right?
Yeah, and the world has been burning for a long, long time, and now they're coming up with, oh, Wyoming with the mineral deposits and all that. It's just like, you know, it was only a matter of time, right, before it burned somewhere where there was natural resources.
Well,
like,
yeah, exactly. It's just, and sure, with the hurricanes, too, down in Florida, there's, I heard a podcast, and this family out on the West Coast, their father-in-law out on the East Coast in the hurricane zone wouldn't apply for FEMA funding because he'd been told seen online that they were going to take his house and all this crazy stuff. So people, don't listen to the craziness. Go out and research it yourself. That's about all the moralizing we can do this week, eh?
Unreputable like pages. And sources.
Yeah, not the cray stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny, most of it is the Republican Party, but of course they're going to do all this crazy stuff because they have no answers, because they have concepts of plans, right?
How many progressive points are we going to nail in this episode?
Oh God, I hope, and I hope we get a few Trump voters angry, because you should be angry, voting for the likes of him. It's just, I can't even believe it. It's just like when we were kids, if someone came up insulting disabled people and making fun of veterans, your career would be over, right? Mm. And somehow it's a cult is what it is, right? People have been brainwashed, and there's no use talking to these people because they're too far gone.
They gotta find something to be miserable about.
Well, exactly, right?
They can't just enjoy their lives and make their lives better for other people or be useful to someone in some way. They're just
exactly, right?
Filling their head with a bunch of nonsense. There's no need of it.
And not eating our cat or dogs, right?
Yes, we pet the cat. We don't eat the cat. Not even a little bit.
And, you know, being from Canada up here like we are, it just looks so crazy up here when we're watching the TV. It's just like, I guess that's enough about the politics anyway.
Yes.
So, next week, more comics.
Kiss your cats, drink some water.
Love you.
Love your books.
Yes. Thanks for having us over. Bye.